Hello, reaching you live from the city of Port Harcourt. This is Thav TV. My name is William Sabule and you're on to the newspaper review. You're very much welcome. I'm very glad to have you join us this morning. Today is the 4th day of February 2022 and we're back here. We're taking the headlines from the national and local dailies. And of course, we get to discuss these headlines with a guest here from our studios. Well, if you're willing to join us with your comments and your reaction, you'll do well to drop it on the comment section of any of our social media handle. And you can do that by following us on our social media handles. On Facebook, we're Thav TV. On Instagram is ThavTV_NG. On Twitter is @ThavTV. And here on YouTube is also Thav TV. But you'll do well to subscribe and then turn on your notification key to always get notified whenever we come online. With that said, let's go straight to taking the headlines for today. Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the Vanguard newspaper for today, the 4th day of February 2022. And the major headline here says, terrorism, ISWAP poised to take over Nigeria, Zulum wants. Begs Buhari to hire mercenaries. Zulum begs Buhari to hire mercenaries, demands accountability in military spending. Federal government names 553 as terrorism sponsors. Flaunts anti-graft war blessings. Says 45 terrorism sponsors set for trials. Blames rising insecurity in rural Nigeria on financial suffocation of local governments. All right, that's the big headline here on the Vanguard newspaper, and that story can be found in page 5 of the paper. Other headlines here on the Vanguard says, convention, we are ready. APC writes INEC. Osinbajo's men upbeat. Buni not seeking to be APC chair. That story is on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then we see other headlines here on the Vanguard. It says, Nigeria needs urgent measures to address high fatality rate. Buhari, Nigeria needs urgent measures to address high fatality rate. Buhari, 1 killed, 4 others injured as hijab protest turns bloody in Kwara. Well, lastly, I'll take this headline still on the Vanguard newspaper here. It says, Finance Minister presents 250 billion naira Sukuk check to Fashola, Akpabio, Bello. All right, that's all we can take on the Vanguard newspaper. Moving on, we move next to News Direct newspaper for today, the 4th day of February 2022. And the headliner here says, APC chairman inauguration. Aregbesola, Amoshu, Keyamu, Lai factions absent. APC chairman inauguration. Aregbesola, Amoshu, Keyamu, Lai factions absent. Page 3 is where you'll find that story. And then other stories here says healthcare. Ogun pays 200 million naira grant for basic healthcare for poor. And then we also see here insecurity. Federal government uncovers 96 financiers of Boko Haram, ISWAP. And then lastly, I'll take this one still on the News Direct newspaper. It says no excuse. We will double up interventions for vulnerable persons. Sanwo-Olu, that's the Lagos State governor. All right. Well, let's move away from News Direct. Next, we'll take on Daily Sun newspaper. And the headliner here says, Federal government uncovers 96 terrorism financiers, arrests 45, says 123 companies, 33 bureau de change, 424 associates also involved. NFIU identifies 7.647 trillion naira VAT. WHT hidden from government. Okay, that story is on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And then we see up there on the Daily Sun newspaper, we also see Nigeria-UK strengthen security defense partnership. Nigeria-UK strengthen security defense partnership. Vow to fight terrorism, build regional security. That story is on page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And lastly, I'll take this one at the bottom part of the Daily Sun newspaper here. It says 2023. Igbo president to save Nigeria, Ohaneze, forms non-partisan political action committee. 2023 2023 Igbo president will save Nigeria. Ohaneze forms non-partisan political action committee. All right, that's all we want to take on the Daily Sun newspaper. Moving away from the Daily Sun newspaper is on to Daily Independent. Daily Independent here. The headliner says, Northeast, ISWAP fast gaining ground, recruiting massively. Zulum, that's the Borno State governor, says ISWAP fast gaining ground, recruiting massively. Once Boko Haram would be a child's play if ISWAP grows. Asks federal government to reconsider hiring mercenaries to fight insurgents. Federal government uncovers 96 financiers of Boko Haram. ISWAP. PDP task federal government to push names of terrorism sponsors. All of that story is on page 6 of the Daily Independent newspaper. So do well, pick up a copy and run to page 6. Other headlines here on the Daily Independent says, 2023 crisis at Tinubu's swagger. TSG clash over harmonization. And then let's take other interesting headlines here. It says, bandits attack Katsina community, kill village head. 5 others. That story is on page 7 of the Daily Independent newspaper. And then I'll take this one. It says, casualties feared after oil vessel explosion near Warri. It was on the news yesterday too. We saw very horrible pictures coming from that incident in somewhere around the Niger Delta, where a boat or a ship had an explosion. Moving on, we go to the Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune for today, the 4th day of February 2022. It says, federal government links 123 companies to the 3 bureau de change to ISWAP, Boko Haram. That story is on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. And we see other stories here says, ISWAP can take over Nigeria if unchecked now, Borno governor. And we also take this one. It says, kidnapping. Police bust 12-man gang terrorism travelers on Lagos. Police bust 12-man gang terrorizing travelers on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And then lastly, I'll take this one from the bottom part of the Nigerian Tribune. It says, APC convention, Buni committee finally writes INEC on February 26 date. Tight security as party inaugurates 34 state excos. Fagbemi Kwara or Modewu Oyo, Samuel Ogun, Famodu Oshun, Dan Fulani Zamfara giving certificates of return. Buni silent on Kano. Well, that's the much we can take on the newspaper headlines. But lastly, before I go, let's take on the New Telegraph newspaper. It says, federal government uncovers 520 Boko Haram ISWAP financiers. Associate says 156 firms, BDCs involved too. EFCC secures 2,220 convictions. ICPC 66. Anti-graft agencies recovering large sums of money for government. Islamic State leader Abu Ibrahim al-Qurashi killed in Syria, US. All of these stories on page 2 and 8 of the New Telegraph newspaper. We also see here capital budget execution rises to 3.4 trillion naira. And then lastly, I take this one, 2023. Amid Tinubu Osibanjo eminent row, Buhari's men plot South-South candidate. All right, that's all we can take on the headlines. Next on this episode is our discussion segment. So do well to stay with us and join us in the discussion time. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. We're back and we are ready to have our discussions about the headlines we read out this morning. And I've been joined by Mr. Victor Sioko, our regular commentator here in the studio. Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Victor, this morning. And let's begin with this issue of insecurity. It has always been on the burner. It never goes off. Every day there's a new crisis somewhere up in the north. And if it's not in the north, it's somewhere down here. And a new one. and the reports we're getting from that, it's really scary, is the governor of Borno State crying out saying that ISWAP fast gaining ground, recruiting massively. You know, that's the way Daily Independent put that news. It says they're fast gaining ground, and if we're not careful, they're going to take over the country. What is going on? Why do you think the federal government is so slow at tackling this issue of insecurity that has bedeviled our country and has cost us so much? Because most of the economic crisis we face today is as a result of this very issue, very critical one at that. What's your take?
My take is that the presidency, as it stands, they really want to make a point for themselves as they are living. So I think that they've seen that they've been fighting this war for almost 7 years or more than 7 years, and it's not been yielding so much fruit. And I think they are deviating, okay, or they are leaving some kind of
for the next administration.
For the next administration, they want to focus on things that Nigeria will say that, oh, come on, we did something for the nation. This fight is something that they can't handle anymore. And I also like the way Governor Zulum is going about it. That man, you see that he loves his people. You see him very vocal.
Yeah.
He's always any slightest opportunity he has to go to the presidency to tell them, please come and help my people. He does that. Remember sometime some few weeks ago, he came out to say that 2 local governments in his place, that no human lives are there. As in, it's so scanty. Not that Boko Haram, they are not there. People
are afraid to stay there.
They are afraid to go there because once they go there,
they get attacked.
And he's also making this point that ISWAP, they are very dangerous. These guys are educated, unlike the Boko Haram, and they have more fighters. In 2019, when they took a study to know how many troops these guys have, Boko Haram had 2,000, while ISWAP had 5,000. And you know, ISWAP, they are more sophisticated. They have more funding because of the ISIS. They are getting
the international funding.
Empowerment.
Yes.
And when they defeated Boko Haram, they had a fight. So that was where what's his name, Shekau, was killed during that major fight that they had in 2019. So the Boko Haram troops joined the ISWAP. And you know, ISWAP, they are not as extreme as Boko Haram, so they tend to win more souls. I'm using the word souls. They tend to win more people.
That's what they're doing.
Tend to win more people to their group because they are more like people-oriented. Unlike Boko Haram, if you can notice, you don't have much of children and women suicide bombers
anymore.
Okay, because it is not in their ideology. Okay, and he's saying these guys are strong, and true, they are strong. They are disturbing Niger, Cameroon, Chad, and Nigeria, and Boko Haram. In fact, they've reduced Boko Haram to the barest minimum. So these guys are too powerful. So he's saying, please come for our aid now. Let's tackle this thing now. If it means bringing machineries, please bring. After all, if you even check in Ukraine, the recent
crisis that
tension that is happening there, you notice that even Americans have been in the Ukraine. Ukraine, they call machineries. There is no, you don't need to be pompous about this. You don't have the manpower. You don't have the machineries, the equipment to handle this and the intelligence. Call people to come and help you.
So why don't and I agree totally with him, because there's always been a wonder to me why our federal government hasn't taken this as a priority, even though that was one of their promise coming into office. This present government, that is, promised that this issue of insecurity, Boko Haram in particular, will be a thing of the past. But we weren't thinking that, okay, Boko Haram will be taken out and then another group will emerge and become even stronger and become a tougher menace than Boko Haram. So we are really hoping that the federal government will rise up to their responsibility, as we've always said on this program here, that they should tackle this issue of insecurity for our economy to thrive, you know, for people to, you know, to live free, as it's their major responsibility as a government, you know. And moving away from that, we also saw this headline, still on Daily Independent. It says federal government receives birth control policy to slow population growth. So it is obvious that they are they are getting afraid at the way the population is growing really fast.
The burden is too much on the government.
Yes, so and they are making moves to have census sometime before the election. I don't know if that is achievable, but that's all in the bid to want to see to what extent that our population has grown. What do you have to say?
Yes, our population policy needs to be checked upon because the rate is increasing. Back then in the 70s, it was more than now, but the rate was 6.5. Now it's about 5.3. 5.2 now. 5.2 meaning this rate meaning when in a society or in a country when you can say that a woman can have up to 5.2 births. Yeah. Okay. So when you share the fraction of them all, you average it that one woman can have 5.2 births. It boils down to the north, which we all know. Down here in the south, we are more educated. The south is more educated, no two ways about that. And you know what education does? It helps people to follow the modern ways of living. Yeah. Now, to control fertility rate, what you need to do is you have to mobilize people to make sure that they know how to use their contraceptives. Yeah. You also need to let people know that you don't have plenty, you do not need to have plenty children to farm. You need to develop means of mechanizing your farming. Yes. And you know, up there in the north, they use their kids to farm. So they need more children to go to the farm so that they can reap bountifully. Have more harvest. Now, if you check the top 3 countries in the world that have high fertility rate, number 1 is Niger, 6.5. Niger is a farming. They're more into farming
culture. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, look at Somalia. Somalia, you know, their economy is dead and is down. So, and they depend wholly on farming. Now, in Nigeria, the northern Nigeria, farming is their thing. Yeah. So it also affects the rate of children they have. So the government is coming out to say, please, we need to trim down on this so that our women can go to school. Our kids can go to school. Yeah. Okay, so that's the point. And I like what the president is doing currently about that, so that we don't have, okay, look at what's happening in the north. Okay, since that they can't farm, you see the kids have joined banditry.
Yes, a lot of
beggars.
Yes.
So a whole lot of
they now engage in
when you come to the to children down there. Yeah. Yeah. So the rates needs to be looked into.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Victor, for your comments. Very insightful there. All right, for our viewers, we thank you for staying with us. That's the much we can take today on the Newspaper Review. Do well to follow us on our social media handles. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and here on YouTube. On YouTube, do well to subscribe and turn on the notification key to always get notified whenever we come online. Till next time, my name is William Sabule. See you then.